start to talk about marginalized people in society.
Yes.
Which both prisoners and recent releasees and the homeless and gay and transsexuals all fall into.
Yes, we certainly have a lot of common ground, which is, it's sort of reassuring, I suppose. I'm not going to say it's a good thing that there are a lot of marginalized people out there, but we're not alone, as far as that goes, and hopefully, we have somewhat of a better understanding of them and they of us, I hope. But anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit about, one of the things that this thing at Mitchell College did for us is I think it sort of gave us an opportunity to get some feedback, some direct feedback, and find out exactly what kind of questions are on people's minds.
Right.
And so it sort of gave us some topics that we can talk about, and I thought maybe we could do a little bit about that. Aside from my love life, which actually was one of the things that was asked about, so it's a valid topic.
It's a valid topic.
But some of the questions that they asked were very good, and certainly it gives us some things that maybe we could talk about tonight.
Sure.
As far as certainly the science of it, there's a lot of interest in the science of it and how this all works. And I know that we have tried from time to time to sort of explain some of this. We tend to get interrupted, and this is a call-in show, so please call in. But we sometimes get interrupted. We get interrupted, and then we don't get to quite finish. And so I was hoping maybe we could talk some more about that tonight. I don't want to throw too much at the audience, maybe, but I think it's sort of important that we try to sort of familiarize everybody that's going to watch us with what we
transsexualism is and the treatment
exactly
of it.
How it works and the whys and the hows, and so I was hoping maybe we could convince Stacy to talk a little bit about that, being that she is our resident scientist, genetic engineer, and seems to understand the stuff very well. But,
okay. So which aspects are we going to go into? It strikes me that when we're talking about transsexualism, we're really talking about prenatal development. And in order to really understand this, we have to talk about a little bit about gene regulation, some genetic anomalies that can just happen. Trisomy can happen. We have to talk about hormonal regulation, hormonal response elements. The default body plan in humans is female. Everyone starts out as female, and it's only expression of genes on the Y chromosome that causes differentiation of male parts, whether it's brain structure.
Being male is a matter of getting the options. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go on.
Yes, female is the base model.
I didn't say they're good options, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go on.
Okay. So you get expression of genes from the Y chromosome, and you can get the differentiation of the male body parts. But everybody pretty much starts out as female.
Right.
So one of the other concepts you have to talk about is trisomy and gene dose. The question is, what happened? We have 23 pairs of chromosomes, or 46 total chromosomes. So what would happen if you took one of those chromosome pairs and added a third pair? And it turns out that most of those, this happens, and most of them don't reach term. I think it's 13 and 17 will reach term, but really doesn't live long after that. Trisomy 21 reaches term. It's Down syndrome. Is a third copy of the 21st chromosome. So this begs an interesting question now. if gene dose, and that's what we're dealing with here, having a third copy of that chromosome gives you a 50% increase in the proteins associated with that chromosome. This is toxic. It causes problems with development, and it causes problems with the intact fetus later. Men have an X and a Y chromosome. Women have by and large, have two X chromosomes. So you only need the gene dose from one X chromosome. Why isn't it toxic to have the gene dose from two? And the answer is, very early in development, one of the X chromosomes in women gets turned off. One or the other, and it doesn't really matter which, but one of them gets turned off. And development goes forward. Now, in science, OCD runs rampant in science, and every answer begs the next question. We sort of need this to keep us busy.
Of course.
So the next question is, if an X chromosome can get turned off, can the Y? And in fact, it can. And we see this. We can see in some instances where a woman will develop a fully female body,
with an XY chromosome.
With an XY chromosome. They don't develop a uterus or ovaries, and no one knows what's happened until she reaches puberty and doesn't get a period. A simple chromosome stain, figure out what happened there. I mean, we've had the ability to figure out what's going on with that for a while, and we've known this happens. The next question is, so if it can happen very early in development, so that all the cells in the body develop as female, can it happen a little bit later? So you get clusters of cells that develop as male, and some others that develop as female. Yes, and this happens too. We've talked about intersex conditions. People with ambiguous or multiple sets of genitalia. It can also explain the brain structure developing as male, or as female, where the body develops as male.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, the brain develops later. The body starts to develop first, and does not the brain develop later? So isn't that right?
The brain's a much more complex organ, so it takes a lot longer.
Right. So it would make sense that the body could get going in the male direction, and then, oops, brain goes the wrong way.
Where in early stages of development, the fetus is developing under an XY, and then the Y gets turned off at 2 months or 3 months or 5 months, and the later development occurs only under an X, under the influence of the X, just like a genetic female, an XX would.
And it's going to be more complicated than that. We're dealing with development that's mediated by response to hormones. And the really cool thing about hormones is you can have a very small amount of signal that causes a very large response. A hormone molecule may attach to a receptor molecule and give off 10 secondary response molecules, which bind to receptors, and each of them give off a sort of a tertiary response. So you get this sort of logarithmic amplification of the original signal. So a very small amount of signal can give you a very complex and very profound overall response. And then you're having multiple hormone systems interacting. So this is going to be a very complicated issue, and it's going to take a while to adequately describe what's going on.
Right.
But we're now seeing more evidence that this is actually a developmental issue, and may in fact have a broader genetic basis. There was a article that you found recently